Okay, it is time. It is time for me to do something that I promised that I would do a long time ago. I am going to show you how to set up the Alesis Nitro Mesh kit to use in Cakewalk. Now, this should work pretty much for any other Alesis pad. I mean, they're pretty much going to be all the same. Now, if you like tutorials just like this, dealing with Cakewalk by Bandlab, dealing with electronic drums and etc., vocals, all the nine, definitely consider subscribing to this channel. All right, let's get right into it. All right, I'm in Cakewalk and I'm gonna go ahead and set up some tracks real quick. Now, there's two methods that we're gonna actually talk about using to record. One is gonna focus on recording straight audio from the Alesis, something that I really love the sounds that are in this pad, then I can record them straight into Cakewalk. The second way is recording via USB interface. So I'm gonna go through the first method first and then we'll come back to the USB. Okay, first things first, you can see that I actually have left and right coming out of my Alesis, and I have it going to my X18 right here. And I'm using channels 13 and 14. Of course, 12 is where my microphone is right here. And on my X18 software, let me pull it up real quick. Whatever interface you're using, make sure that you have the drivers installed for it so you won't have any problems. So I have, my mic is coming out of 12, 13, 14. I have them stereo linked. Basically, I click on one track or one channel, go to input, and left, there's a stereo link button right here. And then this set gets pretty hot. And right now I have the master volume on the unit turned all the way up. So I have the gain set at like 7.5 decibels. So that way it won't peak. And hopefully you at least able to hear the drum set. I don't know how fat it's going to be coming through the recording on here, but this is my first time doing this. And normally this set is, like I said, I live in an apartment. So this is the living room that I'm in right now, where my little corner of my studio is. It's also the family room because we got the TV on this side, etc. And in the kitchen or dining area is where this set resides. Of course, I've got my acoustic drums and stuff, but they're all packed up. And one day I might bring them out and do something here. Hopefully my neighbor doesn't scream at me. Everything else is pretty much explanatory on this end. EQ, I don't have no compression. I don't want anything. I don't want no effects or anything like that. Everything is good to go on this end, so I can exit out of that. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna insert an audio track. All right, and I'm gonna set the input X Air. Now, since I'm on 13 and 14, this time I'm gonna actually use N13 plus N14, all right? And the reason why I'm gonna do that is because now I'm recording stereo. Now that I have my loop point set, I wanna go ahead and change this because I don't want to do record comping. I want to just do sound on sound. And I'm going to turn this metronome up a little bit. Oh, another thing about the metronome, if you're using the metronome, you can also do a record count in case you didn't know that. You can change the sounds. I've never talked about doing that. And you can change where you want the source to come from. Right now it's coming from my metronome. I can change it to be a totally different thing. I can change it to a specific MIDI note, or I can even subdivide. And right now I have it as quarter notes, but if I wanted it to be eighth notes, then I can set it to half notes and it's gonna go beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, 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 kind of like that basically. I'm gonna bring my first beat up, other beats will be slightly lower. So I brought the metronome volume up a little bit. Also wanna check the latency. Okay, I'm set on fast, that's good. All right, cool. I'm just gonna record some beat and whatever it is, that's what it's gonna be. All right, I'm gonna press record, all right, click record rather. Okay, and as you can see, I went a little bit over my loop. Sometimes I hate doing loop recording, but anyway, let me delete that one section. All right, and you can hear what it sounds like. Let's bring the wave down. Okay. All right, and I cut off abruptly. Now, if I was really recording it, I would definitely have that do the tail end so that way it won't cut off so abruptly like that. And that's fine. I'm cool with the drums. And if I wanted to add some other stuff to it, now, ideally you would like to separate these so you can really mix them separately. I think there's a way that you can go about doing it, but it requires there was a plugin on here called Drum Replacer that you can actually take the audio and separate it and be able to apply instruments to it later on. Creative Sauce has a video about that. You should check that out. Shout out to Creative Sauce for creating wonderful tutorials for Cakewalk. It's good to have them coming from everywhere, you all. You can never absorb enough information. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is if I wanted to beef this up a little bit, I could go ahead and I can be like, let's mess with the EQ. I can put some compression on it. But in this case, I'm just going to do a multi-band right now. And let's see what we can get it to sound like. You can use a preset. All right, that sounds a little bit more better. And I can add EQ to it if I wanted to. Okay, so. Do adjust EQ to get a frequency I probably don't like. Now, so that's starting to sound better. Now, ideally, if I was inside this unit, I would really want to go about like maybe bringing the hi-hats down some. You got to like kind of pre-mix everything before you get in here, which is a big difference compared to using an acoustic set or micing each individual drum and bringing it in. Now, this does have left and right output, but you do not have separate outputs. That's why if you're gonna use a MIDI drum set like this, then what it's mainly used for is for you to use it as MIDI. All right, so let's archive this track. You can right click on it, go to MSR, go to archive, and boom, that track is like not eating up any more space. And let me go about setting up some instruments. So SI drum kit, and let's just do one track for now. Now, let me go ahead and plug this interface in so you can see how that works. As soon as I plugged it up, I see we're setting up the Alesis Nitro, and it says it's set up and ready to go. Then it says, do you want to add it? And I say yes. So since we're going to be using USB now, I'm going to go ahead and mute those channels real quick. Go to edit, preferences. Let's go down to devices. There it is, Alesis Nitro. I'm gonna click on input. And if I wanted to hear it come out of the Alesis, I would do output, but I don't need that. Press apply, press close. All right, and let's see what we got. Okay. All right, I changed to Hall Kit, and there was one thing that I really didn't like the way it tracked. First of all, the latency is pretty good. I'm not really worried about that. But the hi-hat, it kept using the open hat sound. Okay, like right now when I'm trying to do a sock, it's doing it now, but it was on another patch. So, which is probably Cakewalk software. It's not the software itself, but it's just the way you have to set everything up drum wise. Because remember that when you hit in the center, it makes a different sound. When you hit on the edge, it makes a totally different sound. Okay, and it's like dealing with velocity. So, but now that I have it, I'm using the Hall kit, and you can use whatever kit you want. And to be honest, I can change anything later on. So this is just about being able to record in it. So the first part, I'm going to try just tracking and recording. The second part, I'm going to try separating the tracks. I'm going to turn the microphone off, and let's record something with this. All right, I recorded something. Let's listen to it. All right. That sounds so weird when you don't have that metronome going anyway. All right, so let's say I was cool with that. Now I can go about quantizing it, but I'm going to tell you that it's going to be easier to quantize it once you separate the individual parts of the drum set. Now that you have this way right here, you also could go about just recording straight MIDI. Now, if you're going to record a MIDI track by itself, you might experience some latency if you're using your sound card built in the computer for the output. Now, if I was coming straight out of my X18 for the output, or if I was coming straight out of Alesis for the output, then it would sound better. But you don't really need to do all that. So we got the audio track we can use, and we also have this MIDI track. Now, this is how I'm going to go about separating it. I'm going to go right here, and I can duplicate this. I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to include the events. Make sure you include the events, but you don't want it to link to the original clips, because what happens is any edits you try to do on the other ones, it's going to do it on the main one as well. We don't want that. Everything else is fine. Just click repetitions. I like to do 4 tracks total. You can separate it more than that if you want to. I'm going to put all my cymbals on one. I'm going to put all my bass drum on one. I'm going to put my snare on one. And I'm going to put, so bass, snare, cymbals, and then toms, okay? So this is how I'm going to go about doing it. I'm going to click on the bass drum, double click on it, and if you see it and it looks like this, it's because you got velocity on. You can turn the velocity off by going to where it says notes at the top and uncheck that, and it says show velocity, and now you don't see it anymore. I'm put these sticks down. I'm looking for, all I want in this is the bass drum. All right, I'm gonna delete this. And now that you've separated everything, you can go about listening to it and making sure that everything is right. Here's the bass drum. That's the snare. That's the cymbals. Toms. All right, and there's some type of MIDI note way below that I don't even know what it is, but I just left it there anyway. And that might be some parts. So keep in mind that when you're recording MIDI, sometimes some of the notes don't transfer over well to, like, the SI drum kit might be set up different MIDI note compared to this one. So if you find like, hey man, I'm missing my cowbell or missing a note and I don't know where it is, it might be that you have to transpose it up to whatever sound you really wanted it to be in the first place. For drums, I typically tend to cut like right around 400. And I can copy this EQ over. I'm gonna copy it over to the hi-hat because on this hi-hat, but I'm gonna flatten it. Actually, I'm gonna do high pass filter, and I'm gonna move it all the way up. Let's do it again. might be fine because I don't really want all those lows and mids for that hi-hat. So I would be fine with just with that. And then I probably would bring the volume down on that a little bit. Let's go back and listen to it again. Okay, pan at some if I want to. And my times might be too high. Now, even though the times are tuned, you know, however you want them, and they're panned in here, if you didn't want them, you know, like panned, maybe you wanted them centered, then you can definitely do that. Or if you wanted to pan them differently than what they are in here and you wanted more separation, then you can go even further with the MIDI notes and separate it by specific key. And then you can have high time, low time, mid time. You can separate this as far as you want to separate it. But this is just to get you started. I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm grateful for you all for being a part of this channel. But if you have not joined this channel, definitely consider subscribing. Click the notification bell so that way you're notified every time that I post new content. I am posting Monday and Wednesday and Saturday for maybe one more week. And then after that, I'm going to switch back to just doing one a week because I really want it to be great content that you all can appreciate. And I want to take my time preparing and studying. All right, well, that's my time, you all. All right, I love you all. Be safe.